Welcome to Signal Soundbytes. I'm Brandon Ruiz-Peña, editor-in-chief of The Signal, and on today's episode, we will be having a conversation about COVID-19 plus Signal shoutout. As of today, March 25th, the UHCL campus is limiting access to only essential personnel. On top of that, the CDC has advised all persons to practice social distancing. With these things in mind, Signal Soundbytes has broken away from recording in person to being now remotely done. Joining me today on this panel from the comforts of their own homes are...
It's Emily Wolfe. I'm the executive editor of The Signal.
Hi, I'm Alyssa. I'm the online editor of The Signal.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a communication major.
And I'm Jessica, and I have no idea what my title is, but I sure do work at The Signal.
For months, COVID-19 has continued to spread globally, and in recent weeks, the states across the nation have taken actions to limit the spread of the disease. In recent weeks, UHCL has made the decision to move face-to-face courses fully online for the remainder of the semester. Spring 2020 commencement ceremonies have been postponed until further notice, and all campus operations have been moved fully online through at least April 3rd. So, my first question to you all is, how has COVID-19 impacted your life?
In every way possible.
I did mine first because mine's not as heavy. Because my follow-up review, I'm just going to sound tone deaf. My life hasn't changed. It's just that what I'm doing is now socially acceptable. That's it.
All right.
I can't leave my house because I'm still technically in quarantine from New York.
That is true.
Which is great. I'm going a little stir crazy. But once again, I have it better than a lot of people. I'm just irritated with, everything. Mostly irritated with the response from people about it. I don't want to be doing this, but also, it's a small price to pay to save, someone's life, potentially. So I'll stay in my house until it's safe. I'm just gonna probably complain a bit, but I'm totally okay with staying in.
I've just been more stressed because having to move everything to a remote location is very difficult. I feel like I have more work now than I did before.
Mm-hmm.
But everything's it's all right.
Things low-key suck over here, not even gonna lie. I guess to answer the question, I feel like my life has been changed on so many levels. I lost my job because I worked in a restaurant. So, I lost a job that I get most of my income from because I worked in a restaurant. So we shut down. A lot of restaurants are still open, doing to-goes and curbside. But for whatever reason that I don't know, our restaurant just decided to close completely and lay off all their employees indefinitely. Well, I guess not indefinitely, but for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, being someone who, lives on my own, I have a roommate, but living on my own, having bills and not having a job all of a sudden, it's sucks. Fortunately, I still have this job, which is great, but unfortunately, this job doesn't pay all my bills. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of navigating that obstacle. But in general, I like to be at home, but I'm not a homebody because I'm always on the go because I have two jobs and I'm a student. And so this has been a shocking experience for me. I was talking to my roommate last night. I've never spent this much time in my apartment since the day I moved out of my parents' house.
Wow.
I don't even know what to do with myself.
So, I think all of you are currently enrolled in courses. How has the transition been to going online? Have you had any extreme difficulties? What's the process like? How is it different from whenever you're, used to doing it face to face?
My classes already had a web enhanced week system incorporated, so like we like wouldn't meet for 5 weeks already. And so basically we've just taken all our in-class lectures and just made them all web enhanced weeks. So it's not, it's a really easy, I'm lucky that I have a really easy like system that transfers really well.
It's been rough out here. I'm a STEM student, you know, like I'm a mechanical engineering major, so all my classes are STEM classes, and they're pretty much not made to be online courses. So far, 2 of my lectures have moved online, like to synchronous instruction, so we're meeting at the regular class time, like on Blackboard Collaborate. Those have been okay, like certainly challenging. One of my classes is a physics lab, and professor was like, I'm going to make all the labs be doable at home online, but I have not heard anything since that email. And my other class is a drafting lab, like we use software in a computer lab, and I actually can't get that software at home because it's not compatible with Mac computers. It's only workable with Windows. And that professor, I emailed him yesterday morning, and he was like, yeah, I still don't know. So basically it's a 50-50 for my classes right now. But the transition definitely sucks being an engineering student.
Mm-hmm.
For me, classes haven't really changed much. At least I haven't, like this week has not affected me or been much different. But on Monday we're starting like our class is going to be on Zoom. So we'll see how that goes. But it's photography, so we pretty much do everything online either way. We turn things in. The only difference is that we do critiques, and I think we're gonna do some while we're on Zoom. I don't know how that's going to work. And then for media production, I think I'm probably going to struggle with WordPress, but I mean, I think it's pretty simple still. It's not too different.
Literally every time someone says Zoom, I think of Supernova Girl.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I think of that,
movie.
and I think of the PBS show Zoom.
Yeah, I was like, what is, I asked Brandon, like, what is Zoom? I don't know what that is. Like, all I know is like, Zoom.
I think of that PBS show, and then that meme where it's like, run in the backseat, Zoom.
How about you, Alyssa?
I have had positive but a little complicated situations. So I'm taking 2 courses. One is an independent study, and one is a face-to-face graduate class. Or it's not face-to-face now, but it was. So the independent study circled around me doing an exhibition that basically is canceled now, or postponed indefinitely. So I had 2 other things that I was going to do for that course. One is an interview, and then one is making a booklet to go along with the exhibition. So luckily, I've talked to her, and we're gonna still try and do those other 2 things, but like the booklet where the pictures are at, they're just gonna be swapped out in the future for better quality ones. So that's cool, because then when I do my exhibition, that part will be done. Instead of doing it after, I'm gonna do it before. And then my other class, it was like a smaller class, and since it was graduate level, it was like a lot of discussing topics. It's a literature course, so that one went very well, but it was still kind of awkward on we use Blackboard Collaborate, but next week we're gonna try Zoom. The class in some ways was already awkward because, you know, it's like, what are your thoughts on it? And no one talks. And like that in person is bad, and somehow on the computer it's way worse. Because you just see everyone, like, instead of like, you know, in a room you can see different angles of people's faces.
Yeah.
And in there you see everyone just like the panic. Like a front row.
Which is honestly what I kind of see right now, because we're on Google Hangouts doing this, and so anytime I ask a question and get silent, I can see y'all's faces, like, who's gonna answer first?
But it went pretty well. That professor adapted it very well for online. Like, she took off some stuff And it's because it's conversations. It's kind of like this podcast, but more structured because it's a class, right? So we can upload like PowerPoints, and somebody actually did a PowerPoint on Blackboard Create where they shared it, and then they're going through the slides. And there's like a cool like raise your hand feature. I understand why the university is choosing to do them on these like platforms that are advertised for education, like Zoom and Blackboard Create, or more professional settings. It's just weird because this kind of stuff I've done for like a decade. This communicating like through distance because I play video games, so I use platforms like Google Hangouts and Skype and TeamSpeak and Discord. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna use one of these, and it's like, oh no, there's ones you've never heard of. You're gonna have to get used to those too. It's just a little strange. I'm like, this would work better, but some of them do have a stigma because so many people have got on those programs. There might be like controversies. Like think of like Reddit if they class on Reddit.
Could you imagine?
With those threads and then random people coming in.
Imagine having a class on Tumblr back in the day.
Throwback. How old are you? Just kidding.
So my classes have been doing okay, and both of my professors, I've had very positive experiences, just like most of y'all, but I have heard some like other things from other students that are less optimistic. So I'm just like, I guess, blessed to have it the way it is now.
So speaking of those like more optimistic students, right now there is currently a petition that is out there. It's on social media. It's being pushed around by, for UHCL, but then there's also ones for like the University of Houston main campus, University of Houston downtown, etc. Basically asking, the administration to consider changing the current grading system for this semester for a more pass or fail system. What are your thoughts on that?
It's pass or fail, like we complete the semester and pass fail and there's no effect on our GPAs, or are we talking about like the semester ends and it's like we all have credit?
I think you will finish out the semester, but then the professor will ultimately decide, did you meet the criteria? Did you do everything you're supposed to? Do you pass or do you fail it?
I mean, I think, like, I get why. It's because, like, obviously there's, like, a technology issue, like, if you don't have the right technology, but also, so, like, honestly, like, if you're poor and you can't afford, like, any kind of, like, device that will give you a screen that you can use your face on, so when you're doing, like, Zoom or, like, Blackboard, whatever it is, like, you're at a disadvantage, and that shouldn't be reflected in your GPA. So I get why that's a thing. Like, also for graduation, like, a lot of people graduate this, like, May. Like, I mean, Brandon and Steph, you're one of those. You're two of those people. But I think it's to help them out so they don't have to, like,
not graduate.
Yeah, like, not graduate. Yeah. They have to postpone their, whole life. But also, like, for, like, freshmen and, like, juniors and, like, sophomores, like, these are classes where you're learning a lot of information. Because, like, senior level and grad level courses, it's a lot of, like, discussion and theory. Mm-hmm. But, like, they need to know. You're talking
about those foundation classes.
Yeah, they need to know. Just, like, passing everyone is going to cause a lot of troubles later on in life.
That's how I feel about my physics class. I feel like if I were just to not complete my physics class, or to complete it but not really do it, and I were still to get a pass for the semester based on, what I already have and what I, like, could lazily do for the rest of the semester, I don't think it would be good for me. Like, I think going into my next physics class and going into just my entire degree program, which is really heavily physics-based, it would just put me at a significant disadvantage. I could see them maybe skewing the grade scale, making it so that it's, like, harder to fail classes, because right now it's, like, there's the pluses and the minuses, but essentially the 90s are A and the 80s are B and the 70s are a C, and, like giving a little give and take on that. Because not everyone is in the same situation anymore. Like before, we were offered the same learning environment. Like we were all able to sit in the same classroom and have access to the same resources. And you know,
like the computer lab.
Yeah, not including the fact that people's learning styles are different. Technically, we were all on a relatively level playing field, but now we're put into a position where a lot of students like may not have access to proper internet or to something that has a screen that's not like a cell phone, or to a computer or a webcam or a microphone or whatever it is. So I mean, it's definitely, there's a lot of factors to consider for students who've been affected by having to take classes at home. So I could really see them skewing the GPA scale so that like, or the pass-fail scale, so that people could, you know, still pass a class with a slightly lower average. But pass-fail seems too black and white, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily agree with the even playing field. Before, it definitely was more even, but there was still
relatively even.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear relatively. But yeah, going from that to home, it's just like everything is in chaos. Like she said, with the different learning styles, and if you have the computer, there's a computer lab, there's people to talk to. Whereas with remote, a lot of the services like the Writing Center and the Math Center are still open, but it's like if you can't learn online or you can't focus because of what's going on, that doesn't really mean anything. No matter how much the hand is like outreached, right? You can't touch.
I've really noticed it with again, I bring my physics class because I always have a little bit of difficulty with the homework in my physics class. I think it's just the class homework is hard. I never really go to my professor's office hours. Like I might ask him a question before class or something, but I've never like gone out of my way to go to his office hours. When I'm confused, I usually ask the TA in our lab, or I'll ask other students, like, because I see the same students in class or in lab, and so I'll be like, oh hey, did you finish the homework? And if they're like, yeah, I'll ask them about the problems that I'm stuck on, and I can usually figure them out like that. But it's literally the first week of class, and I've already met with my professor in his office hours twice this week because, like, I don't have any contact. Like, I wasn't really friends with those people. I just knew their faces, so I don't have, like, their numbers or anything. The struggle is real.
All right. Well, I know that the University of Houston says that they're going to make a decision on that by week's end, so it'll be interesting to see what they decide. Also, if that's gonna, be reflective of what UHCL will end up doing.